Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator Wednesday update. Today I'll be covering the weather for the rest of the week of November 15th until November 19th, but we'll also be diving into the weather for next week as it is Thanksgiving next week, and we are expected to see a little bit more stormy weather for your Thanksgiving week next week, which could potentially lead to some flukes in your Thanksgiving plans. So I will be breaking it down a little bit on our Wednesday update. But overall, the majority of the information for the Thanksgiving week should be on the weekly overlook, which is going to be posted on the 19th. So starting off with our excessive rainfall outlook in our WPC outlooks for day one, which is today, which I did cover in our daily forecast. We do have a moderate threat for the Miami area in Florida there, as well as another marginal threat for Southern California for flash flooding. I'm not going to go into too much information on this. In this video, there is more information on this on the daily forecast if you are interested. But then taking a look at our future outlooks as far as flash flooding, taking a look at our day 2 outlook, we have a slight risk for the eastern coast of Florida there. And for our day 3 until our day 5 outlook, we currently don't have any forecasted areas for flash flooding. However, that doesn't mean that any areas may pop up. Between now and then. So if you are worried about the weather, if you know that some stormy weather might be coming up this week, and you're worried about the threat for flash flooding, some of these outlooks may be updated between now and then. So I suggest watching for updates if you are concerned on that. And taking a look at our winter weather forecast, starting with day 1, which is today, we are expected to see the majority of our snow back up into northern Montana there. And for our day 2 until our day 3 outlook, we aren't really expected to see all that much snow, but we could see a little bit of snow for California. For our day 4 and into our day 5 outlook, we are expected to see snow primarily into the Rocky Mountains, with more emphasis on Colorado, central Idaho, Washington, and California there, as well as on our day 4 outlook. Some snow may be possible for northern Maine there. And then we are expected to see a major decrease in our snow on the 6th and or day 6 and day 7. Now let's take a look at our front analysis and our various fronts that we are expected to see for the rest of this week. The primary front, that we were expected to be tracking this week is arriving to the United States today through Montana and North Dakota. This isn't expected to really bring all that much rain to the Central Plains. However, by Friday and Saturday, that should bring quite a bit of rain to the eastern United States, as well as the Ohio River Valley, Appalachian region, as well as the Atlantic Basin and up through the New England corridor, and mainly exit into the Atlantic Ocean by Sunday. And then we are expected to see some rainfall continue in California. That low pressure system has translated its way south a little bit. It is mostly a little bit more towards the north. However, it has shifted south, which does put California as its primary target. We are expected to see two primary frontal systems come out of that. One is today, leading to quite a bit of rain for California today. And we are expected to see a little bit of a 2-day break as far as rainfall, with maybe a little bit of rainfall on the 16th and 17th, but we should see that rainfall pick back up again on the 18th, and that is going to be setting the stage for the threat for severe thunderstorms on Sunday and for the rest of next week on your Thanksgiving week. Now let's take a look at our threat for severe thunderstorms um, over the next 3 days. For today, we do have a threat for severe thunderstorms. I'm not going to be going in depth on this in today's forecast, but we do have a marginal threat for southern Florida there. I did go more in depth on this on the daily forecast for today. So if you're worried about that marginal threat for the southern tip of Florida, I highly suggest you check out the daily forecast. But for our day 2 outlook, we currently don't have any forecasted areas as far as severe thunderstorms, but we could potentially see some general thunderstorms and some rain showers for some areas like Arizona, California, as well as Florida. And the same goes for our day 3 outlook. We currently don't have any areas for severe thunderstorms currently forecasted, but we could see some general thunderstorms and some rain showers in some areas. But again, things are expected to change between now and then. Overall, I don't think we are expected to see a threat for severe thunderstorms on the next 2 to 3 days. Um, but again, things could change between now and then. Taking a look at our weather model, starting off with our 500 millibars like we usually do. Let's take a look at that low pressure system that has been riding the Gulf Coast states over the last couple of days. This low pressure system has been kind of translating into a smaller and weaker low pressure system in Southern California there, or Southern Florida there, which is leading to the threat for severe thunderstorms for today. And as that system moves out into the Atlantic Ocean by tomorrow, it shouldn't lead to any impacts into Florida tomorrow. But this does have the chance of developing into a tropical system and riding up along the coast, leading to some coastal rain showers next week. But overall, that cold front that we are expected to see this week could potentially keep it offshore, keep it out to sea. But again, there is the chance of it riding up along the Atlantic coast, leading to some rain showers along the coast next week. Now let's take a look at the Pacific Ocean in that trough that is targeting California. You can see that fairly strong trough just advecting into California. Again, we are expected to see rainfall on the primary dates of the 15th, which is today, and the 18th, which is Saturday. And the 18th frontal system is again going to set the stage for severe thunderstorms in the Central Plains, with aid from a secondary cold front that is going to enter the United States on Sunday, which is going to potentially conjoin with that first cold front and really make it really powerful, leading to the threat for severe thunderstorms on your Thanksgiving week. And you can see the sheer strength of this trough. We are expected to see a mid-level flow that could potentially be getting up to 120, 130 miles per hour of mid-level flow. So again, that's going to be a fairly strong trough, a fairly strong cold front, which is potentially going to lead to some severe weather impacts on your Thanksgiving week. Now let's take a look at our composite reflectivity and the when and where you should be able to see our rain showers for the remaining half of this week. Let's start off with that low pressure system that's been riding the Gulf Coast states, leading to some severe weather impacts for today. Um, we shouldn't really see any impacts from that low pressure system in Florida tomorrow, but we may be able to see maybe some leftover rain showers. And as far as tropical development with that low pressure system, overall the 7-day chance and 2-day chance is at 10%. It is fairly low. JFS models are showing a very minimal amount of tropical development out in the Atlantic Ocean. Um, Nothing really crazy is going on with it, and we may not see any tropical development with this, but it could also be very low end, and we shouldn't really see anything too crazy with that. But then let's take a look at that cold front that is expected to impact the eastern U.S. this week, leading to rainfall. You can see the majority of our rainfall is expected to begin developing in the Midwest on the 16th and move into the Ohio River Valley on the 17th, and then move across the Appalachian Mountains into the Atlantic Basin and up into the New England corridor, with maybe some leftover rain showers back into the Ohio River Valley on the 18th. But then let's move off to the West Coast with those various cold fronts that we are expected to see impact. With today, that first cold front that is expected to be leading to rain for California this week, and then that secondary weaker cold front that is expected to be impacting California on the 17th or 18th. And then we are expected to see another cold front impact more towards the north in Oregon and Washington on the 18th as well. And those two are kind of going to conjoin on the 19th in the Central Plains and really make that trough next week on your Thanksgiving week fairly strong. Now let's take a look at our temperatures. I'm primarily going to be focusing on the impacts from this cold front that's going to be impacting the vast majority of the United States. So let's take a look at the impacts that we are expected to see from this cold front for the first couple of days before temperatures really have a time to recover in the north. For the 17th and from the 15th until the 17th, we could potentially see temperatures that are going to be getting below freezing, especially at night in the northern half of the United States there. And those should recover kind of quickly. And the areas impacted in the Central Plains are expected to stay quite warm because of that return flow out of the Gulf of Mexico, retaining a lot of the heat in the Central Plains. Um, but it could be getting a little chillier, but overall it should stay pretty warm. But the areas of impact should mainly be the eastern United States, the Ohio River Valley, as well as up into the New England corridor, where we could potentially see some temperatures that are going to be getting much lower. Um, it was already fairly cold in the New England corridor, but it is expected to be much colder. Temperatures that are going to be getting down into the 20s. Um, that's only expected to grow, potentially getting down into the teens. Um, but overall, the impacts aren't really expected to be crazy significant, but we are expected to see some chilly weather come from this cold front. Now let's take a look at our dew points and how it might affect our instability for this upcoming threat of severe thunderstorms. So you can see that first cold front that is expected to impact the eastern United States is going to push moisture out of the central plains a little bit, but overall it is going to leave it fairly unaffected and allow it to quickly return. It's not expected to completely clear moisture out of the central plains, and you can see how quickly the moisture returns to the central plains. So we are expected to see instability retain in the central plains, allowing for some fuel to support the threat for severe thunderstorms. And then that those two other cold fronts that are expected to conjoin are expected to be able to use that moisture, not only from the Gulf of Mexico but also from the Central Plains, to support the threat for severe thunderstorms next week. Taking a look at our total quantitative precipitation, we're going to be focusing on where we should see the majority of our rainfall for the remaining half of this week. You can see Florida is a major player in this with that moderate threat for flash flooding. But outside of Florida, we aren't really expected to see any significant areas where we are expected to see crazy amount of rainfall for the remaining half this week. But we are expected to see rainfall for a very large portion of the United States. For the eastern United States, with that cold front up into the Ohio River Valley, Atlantic Basin, and New England corridor, as well as the western United States coast up from Washington into California with those various cold fronts, and then across the Rocky Mountains as that cold front out of the Pacific Ocean in California makes its way into the Central Plains, and then finally when it makes its way into the Central Plains, where we could potentially see the threat for severe thunderstorms. Taking a look at our total snowfall outlooks, we're going to be going over where we should see the majority of our snow this week. And again, nowhere really significant, but we are expected to see some snow this week. However, do keep in mind that this doesn't really take into account snow melt over time. This is just the amount of snowfall that is expected to fall between now and the 19th. So we are expected to see some snow potentially for the New England corridor there, from New York up into Maine, and then across the Rocky Mountains area across the western United States, with a little bit more emphasis for Washington, California, Colorado, and Montana into Idaho, with some additional areas for Utah into Wyoming. Um, so that's about where you should be able to see our snow this week. Taking a look at our supercell composite, I'm going to be using our supercell composite to give us the best idea of where we could potentially see our threat for severe thunderstorms. So again, as I was mentioning on the 19th, where we could see some thunderstorms for the Central Plains, anywhere from Kansas into northern Texas. And then those are expected to continue to push eastward, primarily in the southeastern states, anywhere from Texas into Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, and into North Carolina as well. Um, are all states where we could potentially see some severe thunderstorms on our Thanksgiving week. Anywhere in the circled red bubble could potentially see some severe thunderstorms indicated by our supercell composite. Now we're going to be going over the climatology outlooks for the United States, starting off with temperature. You can see vast majority of the United States is expected to see temperatures that are going to be below average. This is likely going to be a result of that cold front that is expected to impact the United States the remaining half this week. And then we are expected to see the western United States, anywhere from Colorado into the Pacific coast, is expected to see the threat of above average temperatures in the western United States there. But then let's switch to precipitation really quickly so we can get an idea of where we could see our above and below average threat for precipitations. You can see it's kind of a mess with a little bit of an area for the Rocky Mountain region for Montana into northern Colorado. Could potentially see a area for above average precipitation, and then the eastern United States, anywhere from Alabama and Michigan into the eastern coast, could potentially see a threat of above average precipitation as well. And then anywhere that I haven't indicated yet is expected to see a threat of below average precipitation. So anywhere from the Midwest, Central Plains, and the Western United States. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator. Join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. And if you notice anything might have been wrong with this forecast, or you would like to make a suggestion or ask a question, please leave a comment. Two other channels that I highly suggest you check out are One Nation Weather and Weather Watcher. The links to their channels will be in the description. And hopefully I will be able to see you guys tomorrow on Sunday with a weekly overlook.